Okay, cool. So part two of part two of the brain, and then part two of the topic I just covered, right? So this is really interesting. This is to do with the use it or lose it type thing I was talking about, and the gas or brakes of the, say, executive command decision making part of your brain, the planning part of your brain, the front part, the prefrontal cortex. So to cover all that quick, I didn't do a good job earlier. I done an all right job, but now we're gonna get into a very nuanced part of it, and I love this part, right? And it's about how, when I said it happens hundreds of times a day, you have a decision to make, right? Gas or brakes, for something that's dopamine related, reward related, right? I could eat that fucking like cake, or I could eat this, I could go and make a meal, but I could just eat this whole cake that's sitting there, right? Gas, I'm gonna eat that, I'm gonna eat that. You get in, you lay down for a sec, you're like, oh, I need to do something, but I could get on Instagram, gas, bang, right? With someone who does it, it's like, I'll sit here for 2 minutes, breaks, relax, recharge, go do that, and then I'll enjoy it later, right? It's about that delayed gratification I said earlier. Okay, so now, moving on from that very quickly, what is one of the, probably the biggest ways we actually get dopamine and dopamine spike ourselves? It's through thinking, right? Certain thoughts can elicit responses, right? If you start thinking about, you know, a good time with friends, or in the future you're gonna do this, or blah 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 blah, dopamine response is that you keep your mind busy, right? That's why you try to stimulate yourself all the time, and then when you take away that stimulation, the only stimulation left is your mental chatter. That's the craziest part of it, right? People don't realize this, right? The mind is a tool that is always on. It doesn't have to stay on. You can stop it. That's what meditation's about. That's what like being aware and mindful is about, right? That's why people report being in euphoria or enlightened or whatever it is, because they've learned to still the mind, and they realize that without the constant mental stimulation, there's like a deep sense of peace and fulfillment that you find beyond the, you know, the maya of the mind and the illusion that you're living in a world inside your head, right? That you're crazy. You're always chatting away to yourself, right? When you don't actually need it. And then there's all these defense mechanisms. People say, oh, I need to chat, I need to do this, I need to think about issues and problems. And it's like, yeah, no wonder your life fucking sucks, right? Because you're constantly making and inventing problems and things for you to complain about. Now, going from there, gas or brakes on your mind, right? You find that because so much of your neural regulation, aka dopamine regulation, maybe serotonin and stuff like that, your place in the world, is governed by these habitual thoughts, right? You don't choose to think all the time. That's just the default. That's what your habit is. It's called habitual thought, unconscious thought, right? In that you didn't consciously initiate that thought. I didn't go, I'm going to choose to think now. Let me think about this. You just sit there, yep, and you think, and then you kind of latch onto it, right? Oh, I'm thinking about, you know, oh, I hope this person's okay. I'm thinking about, oh, did I like look cool then, right? Or how could I played this thing better? It's just going on and on and on, right? And what you'll find is 99.999% of your thoughts are habitual and repetitive, and that's how people get stuck in the same place. That's how you are who you are, because it's all just autopilot thoughts running. And the thing is, because we don't even understand that, we don't understand this, which is, you know, the whole kind of woo-woo thing. Your thoughts create your reality. It's not like I start thinking and then there's a rainbow appearing somewhere, right? It didn't change reality. It creates my reality, right? So a really simple thing here is like, you know, the whole glass half full, half empty type idea, where it's like, say I like, my car breaks down, I have to bike into work for a week, right? Oh, that sucks, like it's gonna rain, it's all blah 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 blah, right? Yeah, I can complain about that, right? And you know, rightfully so, right? There's some obstacles there. It doesn't mean I have to complain about it. It's like, okay, these are the obstacles. Where are the opportunities, right? Someone might be like, oh, that's great, you know, I've got a football game in like 2 weeks, charity football match for work. Now I get all this extra cardio, right? I get to see, you know, like, oh, you know, I need to get better at planning and stuff like this. Like, let me see if I can plan the extra 30 minutes in a day, right? Now it seems a bit delusional, but the whole point is you're gearing it towards something that's positive, and you're recognizing the opportunities that are there, right? But the other one, it's like, oh, blah blah blah, like complain, right? So now to bring it back to something more practical is, the whole time you're doing this half full, half empty, you're always doing this constant threat analysis, opportunity analysis, right? Cost benefit analysis, right? But that's just your default. So when you think of someone who's positive, they're always focused more on the opportunities, Negative more on the threats and the this coming in, right? It's all to do with your neurochemical regulation as well, right? So people with higher serotonin levels see new stimulus coming into their environment as an opportunity. They low serotonin, they see that opportunity as a threat, right? So a really easy one is, right, like a girl comes over to you in front of all your friends and she's really attractive, right? If you're a dweeb, right, you like have a low opinion of yourself. You're like, oh my God, I could get embarrassed right now. She could be like, you're a loser, like fuck you, and then slap you, or like throw a drink on you. Like, oh, and they don't want to talk to the girl. They're like, oh, she could reject me, right? When she comes over, it's like, oh my God, she's beautiful. Maybe she's got great energy. Blah blah blah. We could be friends, right? That's an opportunity, right? You see how that one situation, depending on who you are, right, who you think you are, changes, right? Even if she like rejects you, that's not a big deal, right? It's like, oh, whatever, get on with your life, right? That's one way to interpret it. I must be a really bad person if she rejects me. Oh, like, it's so embarrassing. Oh, that meant so much to me, right? Both the exact same thing. They have the exact same impact, which is nothing. It's your perception of it, right? So now, that's another topical thing. Bring it back to every day. Can you gas or brakes? You put the gas on or the brakes on about how you choose to entertain the thoughts of your mind, right? So say if the whole point of meditation is if I sit here, right, and be silent, something will come up. I will start thinking about something. Ready? I hope that video made sense. Bang, that just came to my mind, right? It didn't, but I'm just saying that's what I'll think about. I hope that video made sense. I hope I made sense in that, right? Did I choose to think that? No, it just came up, right? Let me watch it like, oh, that's what my mind's thinking right now. Let me think, oh, like I'll start projecting, oh, soon I'm gonna be so good at doing these videos, right? I'm thinking about all the videos I'm gonna do and this and that. It's like, okay, am I actually planning what my next videos are gonna be, or am I just letting my mind chat away? Is it gonna go on to someone else? Can I put the brakes on that? Unconsciously, I want to put the gas on it because I like being stimulated, right? I like that. I like the chatter all the time, right? Because it's something to do. And it's habitual as well. It's really easy to do, right? That's everyone has it. So that's something to think about. I might do a part 2 to this when I get home because there were some things I wanted to cover as well. So I'll just edit it into this video. So I'm gonna do this next part in the dark because I'm in a bit of a rush. I'm gonna have to drive home whilst doing this. So yeah, we'll see how my communication does here. Right. So this is the thing. This is the idea I want to get across, right? I just said about how you actually kind of decide who you are through these. Who you are is this constant thought stream of unconscious thoughts, right? You go, oh, I'm like this, I'm like that. It's just thought streams that you've used again and again and again, but formed unconsciously through your experiences, right? I am someone who does this, I think about that, I worry about that. I can totally do this, I can totally not do that, right? Or about things you have no idea about, right? It's just your self-perception, right? So your brain regulates that. Your brain, you live in your head, there's a bunch of like unconscious pathways firing, and the world you're in, so your worldview is also determined by that, right? The world is a cruel place, the world is a happy place. This is how things work, this is how this works, right? It's not about you, it's about the worldview. So these two things come together, you and the world. And those two decide your place in the world. Your worldview and you decide who you are and where you fit into this whole equation, right? But this is the thing, right? The reason we're addicted isn't just because it's just unconscious. It's because we're unconsciously trying to prop up our dopamine and our serotonin, because that's what makes us feel good. That's what makes us even think. You need to know how important those are to you doing anything, being motivated, right? When people get depressed, right, a lot of it, there's different types of depression. In my opinion, one type of depression, the cause of it, is your self-image and your worldview, you can't find your place in the world, right? So like you can probably have people you can relate this to, that when they got depressed is when they couldn't, and I'm saying with myself, I couldn't work out where I fitted into the world, right? And not just like, you know, it's kind of like every kid is like, who am I? And it's like, I'm an emo, I'm a this, I'm a that, right? It's because they're young kids, they're confused, they're not in the moment, they get very anxious, right? And they're like, who am I? Who am I, right? And they need to find something. And then eventually, what most adults do is, the reason they're not kids anymore, is they go, I'm my job, I'm a wife, I'm a dad, I'm a this. It's not that it's bad, but the whole point is, you cling to it, right? I'm a Labour Party person, I'm a Conservative, right? These are all things we cling to prop up our dopamine system, prop up our brains, right? Why is that an issue? Well, now, imagine you've clung to something that is false, right? Imagine I'm like, right, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here, right? Again, there's probably good arguments for it, but I'm a communist. I'm a die-hard communist, right? You thought 150 million people dead in like 80 years of communism being around or something would be a big, maybe you shouldn't be a die-hard communist, right? So you're a super right-wing fascist. You think, again, like 100 million people dead would be a reason for you not to be a complete fascist, right? But why are you? Why would, when like, and again, especially you can think more now, like with people are a lot more openly towards like big government now, right? If I asked a question that, I'd be like, hey, have you thought about this, thought about that, right? They could have really good points, maybe I'm not seeing something here. But the whole point is about their visceral reaction. If I was to question some people's views on some things, instead of them being inquisitive and being like, okay, great, I can actually talk to someone about something I care about, let's debate, right? Let's really get to the bottom of why we believe the things we do. Let's see if we can learn something. You're on the other side, right? It's like a fucking demon comes out. And the whole reason is that they're fighting to protect their unconscious regulation of themselves, right? We cling to these ideas because these are the ideas that are running us and sustaining us. And if we don't find a way to disconnect from that and connect to, you know, yourself, right? It's a whole other topic. You're gonna fight and die for these ideas, right? One really good quote I like, it's like by an old general. He's like, or psychology, he's like, history has shown us nothing but young, impressionable people ready to die and sacrifice themselves on an altar of self-sacrifice to ideas that help sustain them. So like young people running off to war. Oh my God, I really fucked this up. Oh my God, talking about losing, I didn't lose any distraction on the road, but I just fucking nearly ran into my neighbour's tree. Okay, wow. This is why I shouldn't look at the camera at all. I'll try to talk to the camera. Wow, that was really bad. Put it on video as well, nice. So, okay, that's me just going on a rant now. Okay, what does this all relate to, right? I don't give a fuck about that stuff, right? Doesn't matter about politics so much, but it's about yourself, right? So what does this all relate to? You need to be aware, and this is something I'm saying to myself, about the gas or brakes dynamic, about you being invested in ideas. Is it worth you getting upset over ideas? Even if you really care and value those ideas, is it worth being upset, right? Is it worth fighting for that dopamine? Because the minute you stop doing that, you get to a position where you're lighter and you're going to sustain your energy, your dopamine, your confidence, your ability to think, because you've disconnected, you've unattached yourself from these unconscious things you've identified with, right? So it's a very big topic, but it's a very nuanced topic, and I've shoved the last video into this one. Might make sense if you're familiar with this stuff. It makes sense. If you're not, maybe it's a bit out there. That's fine. It's just a very like deep insight. It was just because I'd done the video earlier, I was then thinking about habitual thought and meditation, other topics I haven't covered so far, but I'm linking it back into that. And because I'm passionate about it, I want to get it down, because I'm going to look at my communication in this. I feel very congruent. I feel like I can talk easily about it because I care about it. I'm actually interested in it as I'm talking. I'm happy to share it. Even though no one's watching, I'm happy to share it, even myself, just to rewatch it and think, was I thinking right about that? What can I articulate it better? So yeah, bang, that's the video.